Hello and welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew and today we're doing day 8 with the 7800 XT. So if you guys like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. Now I've been sitting here and I've been playing some of my Ubisoft games. If you've been around for a little while, you know that I'm a pretty big Ubisoft fanboy. I love Assassin's Creed. I love the Far Cry series. I love the Steep and Riders Republic. Pretty much everything that Ubisoft makes when it comes to like Splinter Cell, The Division, everything. I buy all of their games. I play all of them. I spend tons and tons of hours in their worlds. So today I was kind of just sitting here and I was doing some benchmarks, some testing of like Far Cry 6. I'll have some footage running here in the video with that as well. But I was testing out some Far Cry 6. Now, if you guys remember back to when I had the 3080, that was one of the games that I tried on that 3080, and it just, like the VRAM, like it just would not run that game. So the footage that you're watching right now is 4K footage at running this game at like ultra settings on the 7800 XT, and it's above 60 FPS all the time. Like it's in the 70s up to the 80s. Very beautiful game, looks incredible on this card, and it runs very, very well. Also checking out some Riders Republic. I won't have any footage of that one running, but Riders Republic, that one there too was also VRAM limited on that 3080 10 gig, whereas this card right now, I can run this at max settings, ultra settings, 4K, and still above over 60 frames per second. So when I look at the overall value of the 7800 XT as a 1440p card, I look at this and I'm like, yes, I can definitely get high refresh rate at 1440p, but the fact that I can play some of these games at 4K, it's just incredible. Another game that I was checking out today is Gotham Knights. Gotham Knights is running very well on this card as well at 4K resolution, giving me, like the ray tracing, all of that. Oh, and with Far Cry 6, definitely, being able to utilize the ray tracing in that game as well. This is a very good bang for your buck card. I'm not having any driver issues. I'm not having any issues with the card at all. So I've seen a lot of negativity out there about this card. I've seen a lot of negativity about AMD in general, and I just think that I think that people get so stuck in their ways, especially when you want to like justify the purchase of your product. It's a lot easier to bash the competition and make it feel like it's garbage, to kind of keep you in some sort of mindset that like, yeah, man, I'm paying for the best, I'm getting the best, and the other side's garbage anyways, so it doesn't really matter. I think there's a lot of that goes on with AMD. It's the same thing with Xbox, man. Like, it doesn't even matter these days. Like, people are so tribalistic and so brand loyal. And it's like they don't even want to be brand loyal. They just have to convince themselves that the other side is significantly better. When, in my experience now, in the money that I've spent on PC just in the last couple of years, I'm like over $7,000 in PC stuff in just the last couple of years. And I'll tell you, the difference between Nvidia and AMD is not as big as a lot of people would have you believe. The gap isn't as wide as you would think. If you're in the mid-range PC space, which is basically the 7800 XT, your 4070 Ti, your 4070, your 7700 XT from AMD, as well as like your 4060 Ti, stuff like that, like the more affordable class of cards. We're talking like the 500 to, I don't think $800 is an affordable mid-range GPU. I think that $500 spot is pretty much the sweet spot. And in my experience so far with PC gaming, with the level, well, because I spent, what was it, like $750 or $756 for the 3080. I went and bought the gigabyte card for the 3080, and that was about 700 and something bucks. And when I look back at the performance that I got out of that card, you know, on like when I first got it, like when it first came out, awesome card, 100% did everything it was supposed to, but then you start getting into the newer games and you just see that card start to falter. Now I get that the 7800 XT is a next gen card, so therefore should be superior in every way. And I would say ray tracing performance is on par or better than the 3080. But when I look at the experience that I'm getting with the AMD cards from this generation, stacked up against the new next gen games versus what I got out of 3080 for more money, and because I would say these cards, if you look at across generation to generation, 3080, you know, was your higher end 4K card or whatever. Obviously it had the, you know, like the $700 something price for that. And then you look back and you look at what the 7800 XT is doing at a 1440p range, whereas your 3080 was your higher end card, your 7800 XT is pretty much your mid-range card. This 7800 XT experience absolutely destroys the experience that that you would have gotten out of the 3080. Because not only is this card an extremely great value and value to performance ratio for 1440p, but it absolutely handles a lot of these games at 4K at playable frame rates. And when I say playable frame rate, I'm talking about 60 frames per second and above. And that is very important to understand, because that 3080 was marketed as a higher end card. It was 4K. Everybody was raving about the 4K performance. And when that card launched, yeah, absolutely, it was doing 4K, and it was doing really good on those last gen games. But then you start getting to the new gen games, and that card starts to fall short. It does. Just like pretty much most of the 30 series stack, it really doesn't have that longevity to keep going forward. And thankfully, some of these developers are actually going out and they're trying to rework these games. They're lowering the VRAM amount and stuff like that. So it is giving the 3080 a little bit more longevity. But when you compare that to what AMD had with the 6800 XT, that there is just it's almost mind-boggling to see how negative people can be over AMD.
I've been through enough
for,
of them in
for
Esperanza.
feature level cards, you know, like DLSS and ray tracing and stuff like that, and not even giving AMD the chance to like look at that and to look at what they've got before they just run around and start spreading absolute nonsense about something that they have no desire to try and that they wouldn't try. Now, as a content creator, it kind of is my job to like put my money where my mouth is and buy these products and like check them out and give you the best information that I can. And as somebody that's pretty new to PC, I started with Nvidia and now I'm over on AMD. As somebody that's pretty new to PC, I don't see a big enough difference between these two brands to really give one like a crown. You know, AMD has an incredible experience. It's got way better software. But then there's things that Nvidia does and brings to the table that does push, you know, like some of the nicer, you know, visual treats and stuff like that forward. Like I get that, so I'm not gonna. So you can't really like give either one of them a crown. But to say that one is significantly better than the other, that just doesn't make sense to me. I think that both cards, both manufacturers, both, you know, they both deliver. I'm going to say they both deliver a solid experience with whatever side you decide to choose. If you go with Nvidia, yeah, you're gonna get that new flashy feeling out of the box, but it might not last as long. It might not carry through, you know, one generation, two generations. You might be in a situation to where you are upgrading every generation, and that's fine. Like if that's the route you want to take, that's fine. But with AMD, I feel like they build their product in a way that will give you better longevity and a more balanced experience. And that's been my experience with Nvidia and AMD. With Nvidia, it feels like, yeah, you got the best and you could do this, but then it just doesn't last as long. So I mean, obviously Nvidia products are made for the people that want to upgrade every generation. That's my takeaway from the Nvidia brand. With the AMD brand, it's more of that like, hey man, like you're gonna buy this card and this is gonna be your driver, your daily driver for, you know, a couple generations. And I mean, like Nvidia used to be that way too. Like you could buy like an older Nvidia card and probably run with it for a while. I still got people in the comment section talking about, you know, their 10 series, their 20 series, and they're still going fine, and they're still loving that stuff. So I do think that whichever way you go, and the reason why I make the AMD content the way I do is because I want you to see the other side, and I want you to know and understand that yes, this is a viable option. And they do deliver, you know, like both cards deliver a pretty much, you know, consistent experience across the board. But then you have your things that are going to be better on AMD, you have your things that are going to be better on Nvidia. Like I said before, if you want those new forward thinking features like DLSS and ray tracing and all of that stuff, yeah, Nvidia is going to be there, but you're going to have to pay a lot more money because you want to get a higher level card if you want to actually be able to utilize those features. With AMD, it's pretty much a jack of all trades, master of none type experience. You get a lot of bang for your buck, and you get, you know, a taste of pretty much everything at this mid-range level. Like you do pretty much get a taste of everything with this. Like I do get good ray tracing performance, but I don't get the greatest path tracing performance. I get really high frame rate with good visual quality. The same with Nvidia. With Nvidia, I can use DLSS. With AMD, I can utilize virtual super resolution, so I can bump my resolution up really high and then downsample that back down to like 1440p, and it looks absolutely incredible. So there's different ways that you can do whatever you want to do with both of these cards. So yeah, 7800 XT, absolutely the best bang for your buck, probably GPU this generation, hands down. So if you guys like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one. And thank you for watching.